Hi everyone, greetings of the day. This is Subramanian with yet another interesting video. This time, again, analyzing a foreign travel event. Okay, and this is a very close relative of mine, and recently described traveled from the US to India and then back to the US. So I just thought I'll make a quick video explaining how to go about seeing this event, because it's not that everybody does cross country travel frequently, right? So it is an expensive affair unless there are strong reasons for it. And then I thought, let's use the medieval astrology techniques to analyze the event. I do agree this is hindsight of because the event has already taken place, but I sometimes feel that that is the best way to learn and then also apply it for events that are yet to take place in a person's life, right? So with that said, first let us look at the Indianized way, or the Hindu astrology style. So this is the natal horoscope of the scribe, and of course the ascendant. Okay, the ascendant is Pisces. Of this individual. But what you see here is actually the moon chart. Okay, so this is not the true ascendant. The true ascendant of this person is Pisces, right? But then, as you are aware, when we look at transits, you should not only look at transits from the lagna but also from the moon as the reference. Basically, you make the moon the first house, or you look at transits from the Janma Rashi. Okay, either ways, different ways of saying the same thing. So in this case, I have just created a chart or rotated the chart to make sure that the moon is the first house. Now, let us look at the current transit positions, right? So if you are aware, as we speak, transit Saturn is actually in the sign of Pisces. So basically, her 11th house from the moon. So this is the transit Saturn position. And transit Jupiter, as we speak, is actually in the sign of Gemini. Okay, I've just put a box around it so that there is no color confusion. So this is the position of transit Saturn, the current position. This is the position of transit. Transit Saturn, transit Jupiter. Now see the beauty, right? You know the double transit principle of K and Rao, where if transit Jupiter and transit Saturn simultaneously aspect a particular house or a house lot, there is a strong probability of that event taking place, provided the higher levels of hierarchy support it. As I keep saying, you should not just use transits and predict, because transits only reinforce whatever is promised at the higher levels of the predictive hierarchy, like primary directions. And I would encourage you to watch some of my previous videos. Remember, transit comes at the last rung of the hierarchy, right? The highest is primary directions, right? Which we will anyway be going through as part of this lecture, right? So now, foreign travel is denoted by the ninth house. Ninth house matters. Let's keep it simple. Okay? Ninth house primarily, or is the primary house for any foreign travel, right? Now, obviously, transit Jupiter and transit Saturn should have a connection with the ninth house or the ninth law. Now, transit Saturn aspects Jupiter with its third aspect. One, two, three. So, transit Saturn aspects uh, Jupiter. Okay, fine. Another way of looking at it is Jupiter is also the planet of travel. But let's not even go there. Transit Saturn aspects the ninth lord by its 10th aspect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So transit Saturn aspects natal Saturn, which is the ninth lord. So one ninth house connection. Transit Jupiter also aspects natal Saturn through its seventh aspect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So transit Jupiter also aspects natal Saturn. So both transit Saturn and transit Jupiter aspect the ninth lord from the moon reference. So both transit Jupiter and transit Saturn aspect the ninth lord, and ninth lord, as I said, is foreign travel. Let's keep it super simple. So yes, the transit positions definitely support foreign travel. Now, ninth house can also mean spiritual travel. Okay, and coincidentally, this person also ended up visiting a lot of temples down south. So in this case, it fulfills both the predictions, like one is foreign travel and also a temple visits and all that, because ninth house is also connected with religion, spiritual destinations and all that stuff. Okay, so this is the transit part. Interesting, quick, but then as I said, you cannot jump to conclusions just because the transit shows something. It has to be promised at by the higher higher hierarchical levels of prediction. Okay, now let's go to the uh, circular chart representation. Okay, now this is the horoscope of the same scribe. As I said, the lagna is Pisces. Just one point I wanted to mention. Obviously, here what I'm showing is the typical North Indian chart, the Hindu chart, and this is considering a whole sign house system, which basically means each house is 30 degrees. But the moment I come to the Western chart representation, I follow my guru's logic. So I use the Alpha-Betis house system. That's what Alpha-Betis semi-arc house system. And I do not use a whole sign house system, because especially when it comes to methods like primary directions and solar returns, these methods work more effectively in my view and my experience. And I know a lot of people use Placidus, Regiomontanus, Coach, and even whole sign house system. I think it doesn't matter as long as the predictive technique works for you. Just stick to what works for you. I will primarily go with Alpha-Betis semi-arc, and I use a sidereal Ainamsha, which is basically Krishnamurti. You can use Lahiri as well. And obviously this chart is also considering the sidereal positions of the planets. Right? Okay, going back. Okay, now this is the natal chart of the scribe, and this is the most recent solar return, because the birthday is the month of Feb, so Feb 2026 has not yet arrived, and hence the nearest solar return is 13th Feb 2025, right? Okay, now let us look at the primary directions that are active. Okay. Okay, now let's look at ascendant. As I said, ascendant. So the ascendant, okay, the ascendant is directed to the terms of Saturn in Aries. The ascendant is directed to the terms of Saturn in Aries. The ascendant will change terms in a couple of months from now. This is like around 3 to 2026. But still, this particular direction is active. The ascendant is still in the terms of Saturn. So Saturn becomes an important chronocrater, because ascendant is directed to the terms of Saturn in Aries. Now, when you look at terms of Saturn in Aries, it is the last 5 degrees. The terms of Saturn in Aries covers 25 to 30 degree range in Aries, right? Okay, terms of Saturn in Aries, 25 to 30 degree range. Also look at another chronocrater. Maybe I'll come to that later. Okay, so the ascendant is directed to the terms of Saturn, and Saturn becomes an important chronocrater. Now look at where the Saturn is. In the solar return chart, Saturn is in the ninth house, right? Again, so Saturn is in the ninth house of foreign travel. Of course, being a natural malefic, it is dignified, it's in its own sign. So it will definitely have some challenges. So there could be some travel related challenges possible. Uh, but okay, but remember, Saturn is one of the important chronocraters, and look at the beauty here. Okay, the revolution Mars is trine the chronocrater Saturn. See, Mars is at 23 degrees of Gemini, Saturn is 24 degrees of Aquarius, and Mars is forming an applying trine with the chronocrater Saturn. And what is Mars? Mars is the natal ninth lord. So again you have a ninth house connection. So Mars is the natal ninth lord. The ninth house cusp is Scorpio. Mars is the natal ninth lord, and it is forming a tight applying trine with Saturn, the chronocrater, because ascendant is now in the bounds of Saturn, and a trine of Mars applies to the directed ascendant, right? So immediately you're able to see a strong ninth house connection. Apart from the fact that the chronocrater Saturn is also in the ninth house, you also have a trinal aspect between Mars and Saturn. Okay, now obviously, as I said, it's not going to be very smooth, because it is, it's a trinal aspect between two hard malefics, but nevertheless it still makes the ninth house connections. Okay, now let us look at sect light. See, this is a day chart. This scribe was born in the morning, so the sect light is going to be sun, right? It's a diurnal chart. So if you see, the sun is directed to the terms of Jupiter in Pisces. Sun is directed to the terms of Jupiter in Pisces. Now let us look at Jupiter in Pisces. So if you look at Jupiter in Pisces, it talks about the 12 to 16 degree band. The sun is directed to the terms of Jupiter in Pisces, which is the 12 to 16 degree band, right? So 12 to 16 degree band, and the sun is directed to the terms of Jupiter in Pisces. Now if I try to plot that in the revolution chart, so we're talking about 12 to 16 degrees, it basically means the directed sect light is somewhere here. So the directed sect light is almost conjunct the MC. So the directed sect light is conjunct MC. So obviously there is a connection of something related to work. And yes, the scribe had come here for some work related matters, visa extension and all that stuff. So there is the MC getting involved. And another point that I would like to bring to your notice is the sun is directed to the terms of Jupiter, moon is also directed to the terms of Jupiter, and hence Jupiter becomes a very important chronocrater, and Jupiter is basically the lord of the MC. It is the lord of the MC, and hence again it is related to work related matters, and this person had come to India specifically to address some very important work related matters. So again, you have the Jupiterian connection where it is a lot of the MC, and even the directed sect light is pretty much conjunct the MC of the revolution chart. Now let us look at one end. So that way it's quite clear that most of the things that actually happen are quite visible from these points, like the revolution Mars trining the chronocrater Saturn, and Mars being the natal ninth lord related to foreign travel, Saturn as a chronocrater being in the ninth house, and that is again talking about some I would say foreign travel, and then also the work related matters, which are quite clearly showcased by Jupiter, and also the fact that the sect light is actually falling in the MC of the solar return, and Jupiter also being the lord of the MC in the natal chart or the radix chart. So a lot of things that I tried to cover. Maybe I would encourage you to watch the video one more time, and I hope you like this video, and time and again I'm making an attempt to demonstrate that how you will be able to look at events using primary directions, the distribution through the terms, bounds, and then at the same time you should not ignore this fact, because when you see things like Jupiter or whatever, all these I would say degree band, you have to make sure if particular aspects fall into these bands, the directed significators will be in these degree ranges, and then maybe certain aspects or conjunctions happen, and one should not lose sight of that, because that's like the quintessential point when it comes to being able to predict it correctly. And I've seen this work time and again, and you will also see this in many of the techniques and the books written by the brilliant authors on this subject. So with that, I would like to end this video, and I wish you and your families a very, very happy and prosperous new year 2026. Thank you. Stay smart. Continue to rock. Bye.